Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to host your MariaDB database on your AWS EC2 instance. Let us go forward with the demonstration. So our demonstration is about hosting your MariaDB database on your EC2 instances. So how to deploy your MariaDB database on your EC2 instance. So for this one, what I've done is I've already created an EC2 instance. So I've not installed anything. We will be doing that right now. So if you see, this is the public IP address, this is the private IP, these are all the important things that you need to know. So this is just a summary of my EC2 instance. So if you want to see the security group, let me open that in the new tab. So these are the inbound traffic that I'm allowing for this particular EC2 instance. Now let us start installing our dependencies or our plugins, whatever we need to host MariaDB database on this particular EC2 instance. Okay, for that I will log in through either EC2 Instance Connect or by using any of the third-party connectors like Putty or Mobile Extreme. Okay, so we'll be using that, and we'll see you after I log in. All right, so now if you see, I have logged in to my EC2 instance. So this is my EC2 instance, and this is a corresponding IP address, private IP, if you want to go ahead and verify. So it ends with 89.130. So let us go to my EC2 instance. If you see 89.130, so this is the instance that I'm currently logged in. So whatever the commands that are required to install and set environments, everything I've documented in my GitHub repo. So I will make sure to drop this link in the description so you can also make use of them. These are just basic commands like becoming a super user, installing MariaDB server, like that, right? So I'm not going in depth about these commands, but I will, as and when we progress in the class, I will be explaining this. Now let us start installing the database on our EC2 instance. So let me go back to my EC2. So this is my EC2. Let me minimize this screen and I'll get all my commands from this page. Okay, so first let us begin the configuration. I'll become a super user first. Let me copy all of them at the same time and run it once. Okay, so I'll just copy paste everything. So yeah, it is downloading. So till it's get downloaded, let me explain what I'm doing. First, I'm becoming a super user. Okay, so next I'm installing MariaDB server and also installing wget. Okay, so next I'm enabling MariaDB that I've recently downloaded, and I am starting that MariaDB server. Okay, later on if there is any update, I'm just using yum update to update that. Okay, so this is the installation part of our server, MariaDB server. So now I'm updating it. It says no update, no packages for updation. So the next thing is to set environment variables. So I will use environment variables as and when I require. So to set up this EC2 instance, right? So to set up this database, so we need database name, we need database password, we need DB root password, DB user. So these things I require. So instead of hard coding it everywhere, what I thought is I would set environment variables, and I will make use of those in my database setup when I run that. Right, so this will get all the details from your environment variables, and it will configure it. So basically the name of the database I'm using is EC2 DB, password admin 123456, root password this one, user EC2 DB user. So in production environment it is not recommended to use these names. Okay, for demonstration I'm just going with this one. Okay, so but for production and all, so please don't use these kind of password or username. Okay, so now let me copy this entire thing. So let me set all the environment variables, but before that let me clear the screen for you. So now let me paste all of this. These are the things that we have. So let me paste all of them and hit enter. Now all my environment variables are set, so I need not hard code anything. So let me clear the screen again. Now let us configure our EC2 instance or a database on your EC2 instance. So first, let me create a new database name. So the new database. So what is the database? I'm using EC2 user. If you see, I'm using $, and I'm getting the data from DB name. So DB name contains this one, EC2 DB. So that is the database name that I'm using, and I'm storing all this information into one setup file that I've created. That setup file is db.setup. In case if I want to use it later, I will use it. Okay, so that is why if you see this arrow mark, and I'm storing all the details inside this db.setup. Okay, so let me run this one by one, or I can also run all of them at the same time. Okay, next, the second one is to create user. The name I'm fetching it from DB user. So DB user has EC2 DB user. So I'm getting the data from here, this particular environment variable, and the password, it has got a password. So DB password, and that is being also stored into db.setup. Okay, similarly, I will grant privileges for that user by using this query. These are just simple queries. So later on I will flush all my privileges. Later on I will use MySQL admin. So this also uses SQL queries to run queries. It is also a kind of structured query language. I mean, the MariaDB uses structured query language again. So here I'm just using MySQL-u, the root, and providing the password. And later on I'm dumping all the details that I had in temp.db.setup into this particular thing, and later on I will remove this, right? So after the setup is done, I'm going to remove this. You can no need of doing these things, but you can also try in other way. But this is how I follow when I want to set up any databases or anything. Okay, so it depends on you. This is just a configuration of your database on your EC2, right? So let me do that for you. I'll paste all the information and click on OK. So it will do it, and after that it will ask you whether you want to remove this temp DB setup. Yes, I'm deleting it. I typed yes and it deleted, right? So now let me clear the screen. So what did we do? We just set up our database on EC2 instance. So next, let us go ahead and add some dummy data inside this database, right? So let us go ahead and add some data into this particular database that we just downloaded. So why do we need this data and all? I will explain later, right? So we are also planning to migrate this particular database on your EC2 instance to your RDS instance that we will be creating later on after discussing the theory about our RDS, right? So till then, wait for it. Let us go ahead and add some dummy data to our database inside the EC2 instance. So for that, you need to run these queries. So if you see, I'm using MySQL-u root and the password, and where it is getting the password from DB root password. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just logging in to MySQL, that is the database that we downloaded, and later on I will be using EC2 DB that we just created. So that is the database that we just created, right? Inside that we will create a table with the name table1, and I will add some details into that in terms of integers and varchar. Okay, so then I will insert all those details into table1. So these are the values that I'm adding: 1 Virat, 2 Sachin, 3 Dhoni, 4 ABD. So like this I'm going to add, and later on we can see what if the data is been added to that particular table or not, right? So let us execute this command. So let me copy this one, and again I will paste it. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it works. So if you see, first it ran MySQL-u root password. It is getting the password from the environment variable. So after that, running that, it entered to MariaDB. It established the connection with MariaDB. So after that, the first query that I ran is to use this particular database, and the query result was successful. It says okay. Next, I added insert table. So this is the table that I'm inserting. So before that, I'm creating a table here. So that also resulted query okay. That means it got created without any errors. Later on, I'm inserting some data into that table. Now let us see. So it says query okay again. Now let us see if the data is available inside that table. So the command or query is select star from table 1. So this is going to show whatever the data that is being stored in table 1, right? So let me hit enter and see what data we have. So if you see, the data is, so I have one column with ID and other one with name. It is having the details that we stored, like one is Virat Kohli, two Sachin, three Dhoni, four ABD, like that. So we have 4 different rows. So what we have done is we have added some dummy values into our table that we just created. So this is how you install a database on your EC2 instance, configure it, and then add some data or records into your databases. So it took too much time for us, but I've explained step by step how to do how to implement this one, right? So this is how you do it.